Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cinema Scrutiny Show. Today we are ranking the Phase 1 MCU films. We're going to give them ratings and put them on a scale for everyone to see the true definitive standings of all of these fantastic films. My name is John, and as always, I am joined today by my co-host Billy. Billy, how are you?
Doing great. Good to be back, as
That's good.
always.
Yeah, I'm excited. So, as you guys can see, we are on letterbox.com. We set up a Cinema Scrutiny letterbox. It's a great social media platform for sharing your opinions on films. If you want to check it out, our Cinema Scrutiny letterbox account is going to be down in the description where you can see this list, our reviews on these movies, and our reviews on anything that we've reviewed on the show, pretty much starting with WandaVision, which was also last week. So, in the interest of keeping this short and getting straight to the juicy content, we are basically going to be going phase one, every film in phase one in order. We're going to rank it, or we're going to rate it on a 5-star scale, and then we are going to put it up on the list. And regardless of the star count, because I think that certain things can whatever, we're going to then add it to the list and determine where it goes on the tier list, so to speak.
Sure, yeah.
So hopefully that's enough of the intro and we can just jump into it. So first, we are going to be reviewing 2008's Iron Man, directed by Jon Favreau, obviously the start of the MCU cinematic universe.
Yes.
What do you think of this one, Billy? Obviously, I think everyone likes it.
Yeah, I think it's a universally liked project, of course. It jump-started everything. I Even though I do enjoy all of the Iron Man films, even though 3 is my least favorite,
Mm.
I do think this is definitely the best one. The character introduction is really good. I really I don't know if in the comics Tony Stark was captured by terrorists, um, but I really like that angle that they took with it, or the
Mm.
direction they took with that. And seeing him like escape that whole situation and um, become Iron Man, and it becomes. I think this first Iron Man shows a lot about how how much like I guess you could say Tony was like a warmonger, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that you know looking back from where the MCU is today to where Tony was in that movie before he even made the suit. It's pretty crazy how he was such a, I don't know, cog in the wheel for like the military industrial complex
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. And I think that angle is really interesting, considering it's moved so far away from that after this movie.
Yeah, I think we're gonna come back to it in about 2 movies with Iron Man 2. But like one of the big things that takes away from this movie that he goes from the military industrial, weapon specialist to an advocate for world peace. And he tries to, and we see this through all of phase one and into phase two, where, Age of Ultron is the penultimate. He's trying to use his weapons to like preserve the world. You know what I mean? He's trying to create world peace.
Right.
And it becomes his goal after this. I feel like the cave in this film is a really great kind of allegory for his life and how he's kind of breaking out of this like sheltered like reality that he's lived in, and he's kind of exploding into the actual MCU,
Yeah.
and what we see going forward. So if you had to give it a rating, let's try to get a rating here. Give me a number first, and if I like it, we'll go with it.
I think I would probably say it's an 8.
Oh, that sounds
Um,
good.
Borderline 9, strong 8. Uh,
Yeah.
I
So
think
4-star for the number people, the star
yes,
people.
definitely. But I think we gave WandaVision an 8 last
Mm,
week,
that's true.
um, and it's kind of crazy comparing that to this because they're totally different uh, properties.
Mm,
Um, but I think an 8 is a proper spot for it. I don't think any of the Iron Mans. Uh,
come
well, not
close.
to. Yeah, I don't think any of the Iron Man movies come close. Not to spoil my opinion on Iron Man 2, but I think eight's a nice spot for this one.
Mm. All right. Well, we will put it at an 8, and then we will jump over to the list. Obviously, Iron Man is the only film on the list right now, so it is number one. It is currently the best movie in the MCU,
Yes.
which is fantastic. So now we jump off to a movie that genuinely a lot of people think that this movie was the first one in the MCU.
Mhm.
And I think that it is because it gets a lot of confusion with the 2003 Hulk.
Right.
The Incredible Hulk is the name of this movie.
I believe it came out the same year as Iron Man 1.
Yeah, it came out. Iron Man 1 came out in May, and this movie came out in June.
Okay.
But I was like, even just talking to people like last week at work, we were talking about the MCU, and they were like, "Oh, the Hulk started it all," and I was like,
Huh?
"No, it didn't." But it's like a very real, whatever, very strange. I don't think I've ever even seen this movie. Just jumping into the conversation of it.
Okay.
Shit. Well, that was my pop filter. That's going to be loud as hell. Sorry about that. Just fell right off my microphone, but we'll keep going. So like I was saying, I've never seen this film. Tons and tons of people. I know that you've probably seen it, Billy.
I have.
Everyone
Well,
says it's terrible. So it begs the question, why do I want to watch it? And that's what stopped me all these years from watching it.
I'll be honest with you. I think that this movie is very underrated. A
It's a
lot of
hot take.
people. It is a hot take, and this may be coming out of left field for some people. A lot of people put this movie around like Thor: The Dark World
Mm-hmm.
type of ratings, which you know, if you're going by like the popular opinions, then it's like bottom of the barrel of the MCU.
Yeah,
Um, and to be fair, I don't think the villain is very compelling. Um, and I think it obviously has problems. It's not a perfect movie, and I'm not saying it's, you know, I'm not saying it's even mid tier for MCU, but I don't think it's the bottom of the barrel. I don't think it is the worst. And I think Edward Norton is actually the Hulk in this movie. Um, which a lot of people, like you said, like this movie kind of gets swept under the rug. A lot of people kind of missed it. Um, and they really just know like Mark Ruffalo from the first Avengers movie,
yeah.
which they just like recast like on the go because Edward Norton had like contract disputes. They didn't want to work with him, etc., etc. I don't know the full story. Um, but I genuinely enjoyed him in the role. Like he was pretty good. And I actually the design of the Hulk, the CG design of the character is genuinely one of my favorites. Just maybe it's because of it's a little bit more gritty. Um,
Sure.
Probably coming off of that Dark Knight vibe just a year prior to this.
Mm.
Um, but I really liked that look. He seemed like out of all the Hulks that we've seen in the MCU, he looked the most menacing up until like Ragnarok, I would say. So
Sure.
I don't know. I recommend it. I recommend watching it. I mean, you may hate it. Who knows? But I think it's all right. It's
Yeah.
not that bad.
Is it on Disney Plus? Let's take a look.
I
No,
want to say
probably
no.
not.
I don't think
That
it is.
that's painful.
It's
That's painful.
it's owned by Paramount. So,
Gotta get that Paramount Plus. That's kind of gross.
no, don't do that.
All
I don't
right,
even know if
well,
Paramount Plus is free or not.
it
That's a good
is
question.
not.
Oh, yeah, no, not worth. Not
Yeah,
worth.
there might be a slightly cheaper ad tier,
Yeah.
but I don't think so. But I do have to go back to Paramount Plus to watch the latest episodes of Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek: The Lower Deck.
Hmm.
So I will go back one day, and maybe while I'm there, I'll watch the Hulk. But because this is the only movie I'm actually not familiar with in the MCU. Why don't you just blind fire a rating, and I will trust you.
I'm going 5,
Okay,
honestly.
that sounds
And
good.
the Rotten Tomatoes score and IMDb and the Metacritic all sit around a 6
Mm,
to a 7. I'm saying 5. So
yeah, I was about to
really,
say six
I'm
sounds high.
lowballing it.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and add that to the list. The Incredible Hulk, 2008. I feel like we don't really need to discuss it too much. I am going to put it below Iron Man. I feel
Yeah,
like we can agree on that
100%
very
is
quickly.
worse than Iron Man.
Yeah.
No hesitation.
All right. That sounds good. So let's jump over to our next film, which is going to be Iron Man 2.
Yes.
which is surprising. I feel like getting two Iron Mans back to back rather quickly. Uh, you know, a
I feel
little something
like this was
early in the
the natural
MCU.
progression. It was a bit of a natural progression for this to happen, just
Mm,
because the shared universe thing wasn't really a thing yet.
that's true.
Um, there is an end credit scene in the Hulk where Tony Stark does show up,
Hmm.
which everyone freaked out about when it actually happened. But
Yeah,
at this point in time, Thor and Captain America had already been announced. Audiences knew they were coming. It was going to be connected. Nobody knew what was going to happen. But Iron Man 2 came. Everyone was excited because the first one was a smash hit.
hmm,
Um, and I was really excited when I first saw this movie. Um, Now, I think a lot of people really dunk on this one, um, which I don't necessarily agree with. But I'm interested to hear what you have to say about Iron Man 2.
this is definitely the Iron Man movie that I remember the most. Like I remember the most scenes out of. I remember the most like content wise and like enjoyment almost.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I like Justin Hammer. I like Whiplash. I like the Elon Musk appearance.
great cameo.
I'm a
Great
big
cameo.
fan of the like Stark World or the Stark Expo at the end, like that whole battle with Rhodey
Right.
in like he's like in that like Japanese like bubble, like that landscape bubble, and there's like the like those pink like cherry blossom trees, and he's like fighting those giant robots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot of cool scenes in this. It's not, I guess the story isn't as impactful as the first one.
Sure.
But I do like this one a lot. Black Widow's in this one. Like this
The
one,
introduction. Yeah.
yeah, this one's a lot more MCU. Obviously they're working towards it. I think now they realize at this point that they're like, yeah, we got it. We got the thing.
Right.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Like this one's just way more. I enjoy this a lot.
Yeah. I definitely do too. I think the racetrack scene is also really great.
Yeah,
With the whole briefcase thing, I think that was an iconic moment for this movie. Um,
that's true.
I think the biggest gripe, which a lot of people gravitate towards, is Whiplash became kind of. He basically came like the V2 of Ironmonger at the end, where he just like had the Ironmonger suit, but with
Yeah,
whips.
that's true. I feel
Um,
like he almost got sidelined by Justin Hammer too.
yeah, that too. I thought Justin Hammer was fine. I love the opening scene where they're in Congress, debating about whether Tony Stark's weapons should be seized from him and whatnot, and he kind of
Yeah,
just owns them. Uh, Also, the introduction of the Don Cheadle, love
that's
him.
true.
He really grew into this role since he showed up in Iron
Hmm.
Man 2, and he's been great ever since.
Yeah, I'm a
Um,
big fan of Sam Rockwell's performance as Justin Hammer. I feel like it is very good.
it is very good, and it's not very like I feel like maybe I feel like some people think he's cringe in the role,
Hmm.
or like he's a little bit too I don't want to say campy, but like he's like a dork, but like he's trying to be cool, you
Yeah,
know?
I feel like he's just a typical CEO type. I feel
Sure,
like that's kind of what it is. He is cringe, but like it's because that's what he is.
he's cringe, but like I think he's cringe because he comes off as someone who's trying to be Tony Stark, but like you can't be because you're not,
Yeah,
you know. But I like that about him, and I like Whiplash too for the most part as well. Even though he's kind of like he doesn't say much.
hmm,
I think his whole, especially when he shows up on the racetrack, I thought he's super cool. Like he's got this like exoskeleton type of design to his like suit and whatnot.
yeah,
I just think that this movie is like unjustly dunked on for nothing.
yeah. I agree. I
I don't
think
know.
when we get to Iron Man 3 in the next episode,
Yeah,
uh, like I don't know, like this is definitely better.
yeah, I think so as well. But I have certain opinions on Iron Man 3 that have changed over the years. But I
Mm,
agree. I think this is still better than Iron Man
yeah.
3
All right.
for me.
Well, yeah. So what are we feeling?
I'm thinking a light 7.
Mm,
Light 7.
yeah, that sounds good to me as well.
On the yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of people would say 6, but I think 7 is nice. 7
Mm.
is pretty generous.
Yeah, I agree. The average review score is a 2.9, which would come out to a 6.
Yeah,
It's like
so
a 2.5 stars or 2.9 stars.
that's fine.
So anyway, let's add that to the list here. Iron Man 2. So now we have to ask ourselves the question here: is Iron Man 2 above Incredible Hulk? Yes.
Yes, 100%.
Is Iron Man 2 is it better than the original Iron Man?
No,
All right.
absolutely not.
I
I think it's cooler.
It is cooler.
It's like it's more sleek. Uh, like the suit is way cooler. I love how he has like the triangle like diamond design in his chest. I was super hyped. I mean, that's just like like a little detail, but
Mm,
like everything about him and especially War Machine showing up is super cool. Uh, but Iron Man 1 is a superior film in every way.
that's fair. All right, let's jump over to Thor, the first one,
Yeah.
2011, Mighty Thor.
Now, I will say, when this Thor movie came out, I did not see it in theaters, and I
Mm.
actually didn't see it for definitely until after the first Avengers came out. I was not interested in Thor. I didn't really care for it. I hated his design, his
Mm.
look. Didn't like it at all. Um, and after seeing it, uh, after years of avoiding it, I was right. I my assumptions were all correct. To me, at least. There's a lot of people that I know that actually really like this movie.
Yeah, I like this
Um,
movie.
yeah, I'm not a huge fan personally.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think other than the eyebrows, which is just a very stupid and weird decision
Sure.
because like blonde people don't even have eyebrows like that.
Yeah.
I think the suit is great for what it is. Like, I think it just shy of putting the helmet on. It's pretty accurate. Obviously, Loki even has like a more comic book accurate because he does wear his helmet.
Sure.
I think we got great actors. We got Idris Elba. We got obviously, what's that dude's name? Great actor. It's in the Anthony Hopkins, of course.
Yes.
Natalie
Yes. Oh.
Portman's in this. I don't know. I
Yep.
just like I end up having a really good time with this film. Like I think it's got problems,
Hmm.
um, but I don't know. It just, it's not even that it really has problems. It's just not that great. But
Yeah.
like, it's not bad in any way. Like I
Yeah.
really like the Hawkeye stuff. I really like. I don't like Selig or Peter Skellig or whatever his name is. But Natalie Portman and Kate Dennings, like both their characters are great. Darcy and Jane Foster.
Hmm.
Um, and like I don't know. I just like it. I do enjoy this more,
Yeah.
especially than Thor: The Dark World.
Sure. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I like the characters. I like all the characters in the movie. Because I enjoy their return in the following like Thor movie and all the other content that they end up showing up in. Um, Specifically, all the Asgard characters. Um, who's the astrophysicist guy, the old
That's
guy?
Peter Skellig.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Um, I don't know. I definitely feel like I didn't like the ending fight with the big robot. Like I was just not impressed.
Mm.
Like the setting, I wasn't feeling. Uh,
Middle of Texas.
yeah, just like this little mini small town. Just big robot. Uh, I just something about it. Like I just wasn't moved by it. I don't know what it is. I feel I know that I enjoyed the Incredible Hulk more than I did this movie, which is a huge hot take.
That's absolute cap.
It's insanity, and most people would probably say I'm crazy, but I don't know.
All right, man.
I
Well,
actually genuinely I enjoy Thor: The Dark World more than this movie.
you're
No cap.
capping. You're capping.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm dead serious.
All right, then give it a score. Disappoint me.
I want to say 4, but I'm going 5 because I know it's a better movie than The Incredible Hulk. I know it is.
I'm about to give it a 6.
Okay.
I feel like that's where it belongs. I feel like it's 3 stars. I don't know. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
honestly,
Well, six is 3 stars, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right. I have my hands on the controls anyway, so that's what I was hoping.
I cannot stop you.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, like I know it's a better movie than The Incredible Hulk. I personally just find more enjoyment out of the Hulk movie.
that's fair. Well, hopefully we can both agree on where it belongs on the list, which is
Yeah, no,
above Incredible Hulk, but below everything else.
yes, definitely below Iron Man 2, for sure.
Okay, that sounds good. Which brings us to number 5, Captain America: The First Avenger.
That's right. This, out of all, I mean, looking at the Phase 1 list here, I mean, I think in the grand scheme of things, this Captain America movie is like criminally overlooked.
Mm,
As far as like all of the MCU origin movies.
yeah,
I think this is a really, really good movie.
I love this
Um,
movie.
yeah, no, it's
I was about
fantastic.
to, I was thinking
You
you were
know,
going to agree with the other people because I do feel like a lot of people say that this isn't that great.
no, I think those people are wrong, honestly,
Mm,
because I feel like a lot of people, I feel like people who say this movie isn't that good didn't watch it. Like, there's so many good points in it, and like, it's crazy because like, we'll talk about it in the Phase 2 video, but Winter Soldier is like top tier MCU
oh,
content.
yeah.
But this movie is like a totally different vibe than what's going on in the Winter Soldier, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, especially with some of these earlier movies, and honestly, almost, the first two Captain Americas in particular,
Mhm.
they do stand out as compared to the MCU films. Like, this could honestly, if this, if we forget the entire universe,
Mhm.
this is just a great World War II standalone film. Like,
Yeah,
it's just a fun sci fi World War II film. It's about a super soldier. It's patriotic. It's got good action sequences. It's got the home front. It's got the Western front.
sure.
Yeah, I vibe heavy with this movie. I agree.
It's fun. Yeah, I really like the sequences of Cap like actually becoming Cap like
Yeah, that's
during
true.
the World War II scenes, like the montage. The whole relationship with Peggy is great.
Hmm.
I think that it's so great that you don't really need to see Peggy that much in any of the other movies. And I guess now that I think about it, you don't really see her in any of the other movies except for like little, you know, mini cameo flashback type things.
Yeah, she's in 3. I want to say she's in Civil War,
Yeah, for like a
and
mini
yeah, and
mini
that's
bit.
where like she's like super old, and then she doesn't come back in the films again until Endgame.
Right.
And
She's in Age of Ultron for a second when he has like that hallucination.
oh, you're right. You're right.
But again, like all of these little instances of her showing back up are so small that if you never saw the first Captain America movie, you know, you wouldn't understand how connected they are
Hmm.
and how close they were. And I think the relationship that like the tone that they set in this first movie still carries it throughout the 10 to 11, 12 year gap between the first Cap movie and Endgame when he
Yeah.
goes back. You know what I mean? Like it all like it's just strong. You know what I mean? Like the chemistry that they have with each other.
No, I agree. I mean, the last scene in Endgame, yeah, when we get to it, I was crying like a baby.
Oh yeah,
I was
definitely teared
done.
up.
It killed me.
100%. 100%.
But that's because
Um,
this movie set the fucking standard. It put it
it
down.
really did. It really did. I love Howard Stark in the movie. Great addition.
Hmm.
Um, and I also really like Tommy Lee Jones
Yeah.
as the colonel or the whatever
Yeah, General,
uh,
Colonel,
the
whoever.
general. Yeah, for sure. He was great. I wish he was in more stuff, but obviously he can't be because he would be dead.
Yeah, same.
um, but I really enjoyed him too.
Mm.
And even Red Skull, I think.
Oh, Hugo Weaving. Hmm.
Yeah, he great actor. I couldn't imagine anyone else being cast. I think when the movie came out, he looked a little campy.
Yeah, he's
Just
got
look
like a
wise.
hard red skull.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, when you see him in Endgame or Infinity War, both, he looks a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think it's like a product at the time, I feel like it was very
Definitely,
much
it's
a
product of the
practical
time. It's the
effect in
costume,
2011. Yeah.
right? And like the lighting is different.
Hmm.
So he looks a little corny sometimes, but he fits the movie well. Like, at no point I felt like it was wrong.
Yeah, I mean it's hard
Um,
to make a giant like he's literally just a red skull,
yeah, yeah.
and it's very
It,
hard to make that
sure,
convincing.
they couldn't have done it any other way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this movie is very underrated as far as MCU. Um, overall,
Can you rate it for me on a scale from 1 to 5 stars?
1 to 5 stars.
And we'll take halves, so it's basically 1 to 10.
Yeah, I want to say it's like an 8 or 9. Honestly,
Mm,
I think I'm gonna go 8 because in my mind, in the grand scheme of things, throughout the MCU, if we're
yeah,
holding certain standards, like if Iron Man's an 8,
we need to
and I'm
save nine
thinking,
for some other stuff.
right, right, and like yeah, I think it's an 8 because I think there are certain movies that are 9s and there are
Hmm.
certain movies that are 10s in the MCU, that are genuinely better than this movie. But it is really good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it is a
It's a
solid
strong
eight.
8.
Yeah, and that puts it, if we go back to our board, obviously we don't have to sync up to the numbers. Captain America, the first one. But if we synced it up to the numbers, obviously this jumps up to either number 1 or 2. I could, I'm honestly okay with that. Do you think this is better than Iron Man 2?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I would agree with that
100%.
as well. But now here's the question: is it better than the original Iron Man film? We gave
Uh,
them both a strong 8.
I believe it's on par.
Yeah, it's very tough.
So
uh,
I can't imagine either of them outpacing the other.
you know, in my mind, Captain America is a more like I personally enjoy watching it more.
Hmm.
But obviously, and again, obviously everything here is subjective. But I am a
Sure,
total Captain America fanboy.
sure.
Like not only because he is always right. In Civil War, he was right, and
Yeah.
at Infinity War and Endgame, he was right. But
Hmm.
like, so I'm a little biased. So I want to put it up at the top as a movie that I think is more fun to watch. I don't think it's a better film. I guess is the point.
Okay.
Um, but I think it sets a more, and again, this is more also because it's had the time of the MCU, and
Yeah.
obviously the Avengers is coming next. But I think this movie has a much better set of the tone for the
Hmm.
MCU going forward. Whereas Iron Man still has some of that almost like Dark Knight Rises. Like there's a little bit of grit to the original Iron Man.
There is definitely more grit to Iron Man.
Um,
That's true. That is
so
true. It does kind of set a certain tone. I think, yeah. I mean,
it,
I agree with your sentiment that it is a more fun film,
yeah,
but I think Iron Man 1 is the better overall movie.
yeah, it's true. I mean, I want to fight you a little more, but I know that my Captain America fanboyness is definitely pushing it forward,
Mm.
and we don't have the time. So I will
It's
let
very close. Don't get me wrong. It's like an edge
yeah.
over,
So
I
I will
think.
let Iron Man take it because Iron Man obviously, man started the whole thing. He deserves to be number one for now.
Sure.
But that brings us to our final film, which is 2011, 2012, 2012's
2012.
The Avengers.
Yes.
Obviously,
Iconic.
the iconic first culmination of the Avengers, getting the original six together. Obviously, they did a super cool circle pose during the movie.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Iconic shots, iconic moments. Um,
yeah.
Everything about it's iconic. It's an iconic movie in cinema at this point, which,
Mhm.
if people want to debate that, I think they're kind of crazy, but, maybe I'm a little MCU biased. Who knows?
Oh, I think there's no doubt that is actually, whether or not you think the MCU is good,
Yeah.
Film wise, I don't think that you could ever say that this movie isn't going to be like a very important milestone in modern
Changed
cinematic
Hollywood.
history.
This movie changed Hollywood.
100%.
100%.
I would
No, no
say
debate.
almost as much reach as Star Wars, the original one, in terms of it changing the game.
Yeah. I yeah, I think I agree with that.
So that's a lot of sauce. That's a lot of that's a lot of praise.
Yeah, it
The
set a bar
question,
that has yet to be reached. So,
yeah. Well, the question
uh,
is, given its iconic nature and all of this stuff that we've just been praising for the last couple of minutes,
yeah.
what do we actually think of the film itself?
Um, Now I do want to say that the when I saw the first Avengers movie, I remember I took my friends at the time to go see this,
Mm,
and they were not as excited as I was to go into this movie. I knew the stakes of what this meant as like
mm,
a movie, bringing all these characters together. And my friends at the time, you know, they were like, "Oh, who gives a shit? Like, I don't even know half these guys." Uh, that it was going to be a good popcorn flick for us, but uh, it was genuinely one of the best theater experiences I've ever had because not only were we all enjoying the film, we all I literally watched my friends become like superhero fans in front of me.
yeah,
I converted them in real time, uh, and everyone else in the theater was having a good time. Um, and it was good all around. I will say that looking back on this movie after all the other MCU pieces that we've gotten, it isn't as high as most people would put it for me. Um, Looking back on it, I think the film is really dated.
oh, so
Um,
dated. It's violent.
it's
it's
super dated,
it's
and
so
I think it's
dated.
it's more dated than any of the other Phase One movies that we've talked about.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I completely agree.
Maybe Thor is just as dated, but
That's
genuinely, I
true.
think the other movies are more timeless. Um,
There's some really bad shots in this film, and I don't mean
yeah,
I think dated's probably the better word because they weren't
I
bad at the time.
I genuinely hate seeing Captain America's suit to this day.
Yeah,
I
it's
I really like they did my man dirty
mm,
with this suit, and you know it, Chris Evans when Chris Evans takes the helmet off, it's fine.
it's great.
When
Yeah,
he has the mask up, it's like, bro, you look so stupid out here in the
it's
streets of New
stupid,
York.
but it is like it definitely is the thing.
Yeah,
They get better. I feel like he just abandons the head or the helmet pretty
sure.
much after this movie. I believe he puts it back on once or twice,
He puts it on at times.
but even the
They
big
did
A is just stupid.
they did really well with upgrading him in Winter Soldier
Yeah.
because they kind of gave him more of like a military helmet type of
Hmm.
motorcycle helmet type of look. With this, it's more of like I'm pretty sure it's like a hood. It like when it's off, it like hangs off the back of his neck
Yeah, yeah, I
like a
think you're
hood or
right.
something. Uh,
It definitely does in the first Avenger because his whole suit is more like a fabric thing.
it's like a onesie type of thing.
Oh, you know
Yeah,
what? No, I might be thinking of the scene where he's drawing himself as like a clown or whatever, or a circus monkey,
sure.
because he's wearing like the fake Captain America outfit.
Yeah,
Because I think once he goes full on Captain America, he wears like a actual military helmet.
yeah. I think part of this movie, at least in a positive aspect, looking back on it,
Hmm.
it kind of reminds me of looking at like if you look at like a comic book from like the 40s or the 50s,
Hmm.
and you see like Cap's suit, he's got like the wings hanging off the side of his head,
Yeah.
or like Superman, like his S doesn't. It looks you know, like a really basic like Comic Sans type of S on his
Hmm.
chest or something. It's that it gives me that kind of vibe looking back on it right now, in current day.
Yeah, it
Um,
feels like they went way too hard trying to make it look comic accurate instead of making it look like realistic
right,
or like
right.
realistic to the universe that they've created.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about the Hulk. I think the Hulk looks really like cartoony, in a certain way,
Hmm.
which is kind of unfortunate because I really enjoy like. Obviously, Iron Man looks great. Hawkeye looks great. Black Widow, Thor, they all look great.
Hmm.
And Loki. Um, Nick Fury, the whole Shield team. One other gripe I have though is like now that I think about like Shield and everything. Like this whole movie has like too much blue in it. Like that's another thing that I think of when I see this movie these
Yeah, it's
days. I'm
got the
like,
hue.
it's got the hue and like it's definitely like the color of the movie, and it's like it's too much. It's a little too much for me. But
Yeah, you know, it reminds me of have you ever played Battlefield 3? Or like
yes,
there's
yeah, yeah,
like you know how there's like literally a blue like film over the entire game?
yeah.
It felt like that.
It's like the same thing. Yeah. Now that all being said, I think even though I have all these gripes looking back now, the final like battle scene
Ooh,
in New York
great.
is holds up. It holds up hard, which is great. Um, I think all the fights in this movie hold up. The whole forest fight with Iron Man, Cap, and Thor in like the first act or like the second act.
Yeah, that's very
Um,
good. I'm a big fan of that. The Black Widow Hulk like horror scene
sure, yeah,
ends
that
up
was
being
also
pretty
really
cool.
good. I really liked the scene where uh, Iron Man and Cap kind of meet for the first time, and like right before the forest fight, where like uh, Loki Loki gets taken by Thor, and uh, you know Tony just kind of opens up the back of the plane, and Cap's like, "We need a plan. We need a plan. Like we can't just go fight these fucking gods." And he's just like, "I have a plan. We're just gonna attack them." And like he just jumps out, and it's like a badass moment, but it really defines like their differences as like their approach, like right off the bat.
Yeah, which is funny because there's actually there's a trailer for Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Yeah,
which is like the same thing. Like Falcon is talking to Bucky, and he's like, "We need a plan," and he's like, "We don't need a plan." Or Bucky says we need a plan, and Falcon's like, "No, we don't need a plan." And he's like, "Steve always had a plan," and he's like, "You want my plan?" And he jumps out of the plane.
yeah, yeah. I remember this. Yeah,
But
yeah,
also, I
yeah,
feel like there's the echo in at the beginning of the Winter Soldier, which we'll talk about next episode,
yeah.
where Steve doesn't have a plan. Motherfucker just jumps out of a plane. But yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. Like everything you said about it. This is the first one that I've seen in theaters. Like I'm 90% sure I saw it at the local hometown theater with my cousin,
Yeah,
and it blew my mind. Like this
right,
movie is so good and it's like so out there, and it really just it leaves it it presents itself and it takes itself seriously, and it's like we're doing it,
right.
and I love it for that.
Yeah, I do too.
So
It holds a special place, for sure.
all right, Billy. So that means you got to give it a score. It's time to score something you love.
In 2012, when this movie came out, I would give it a 10.
Mm,
But looking back on it now, I will give it a 9.
we are living in the present day. I
It,
kind of agree.
yeah, and to be fair, people are like, it's you're saying it decreased in value? Yes, bro,
It
a little
definitely
bit,
did. It
a little
definitely
bit.
did.
Now, am I gonna tell you it's an 8 in another 10 years? Probably not. I think it's gonna hold strong at a 9 forever. You
Yeah,
know,
I was feeling
it
like
was
a
it was definitely like sensory overload. When I was like a
oh,
kid and I
absolutely,
fucking
dude.
saw it,
Blast it.
100%. I was walking out that theater like that's the best movie I ever seen in my life. I can't believe they done this. Now
Yeah,
it's like, all right, you know, it's iconic. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think it deserves a 9. You know,
yeah. I am feeling. I was originally feeling a strong 8, uh, just because I've seen it semi recently, probably within the last like 2 years,
mm,
and I was like, yeah, like this is pretty good, but like there's definitely some parts of it that kind of trail off.
sure.
But you know, re-talking about some of the scenes, I think maybe I don't know. I think I'm going to agree with you that it's a 9. I feel like we got to give it the extra the boost for the iconic nature.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think it's a place in pop culture and like what it did
yeah.
for the entire business as a whole. Hollywood, I think it it deserves that.
And I'm
I don't think it
thinking,
should ever drop below a 9. I can't
yeah.
imagine it ever being less than that.
Honestly, I'm thinking maybe I got to give it another shot or another watch. I've
Yeah,
been meaning to
honestly,
watch
you're
the
gonna watch it
entire.
and you're gonna think about all the negatives that I brought up. How Cap looks
Honestly,
like a cereal box toy or something.
Yeah, I think I gotta rewatch the whole cinematic universe now that it's up on Disney Plus in chronological order.
I love that. I love that Disney Plus did that. It's
Yeah,
like here's the chronological order,
I
not
mean,
the release order, but the actual timeline order.
yeah, and I
So
think
smart.
that sounds good. So anyway, that just about brings us to the end here. We just need to put it on the list.
Yes.
So obviously, I think we're going to jump it instantly as a nine. We're going to jump at least into the top three. We got to ask
Yes.
ourselves the questions: is it better than the first Avenger? Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I think if we both agree, we can just jump it up. Is it better than the original Iron Man?
I want to say yes,
I
even though Iron Man is a very good film.
I will also say yes. I mean, I hate to say it. I at the beginning I was obviously like, the numbers or the star rating won't really matter too much, and I think obviously as we go further, it probably will stop mattering as much. But
Mm.
we are in star order. We are correct, which is fair. I agree with you. I think that the original Iron Man is very good in what it does, but
Yeah.
this movie is just too historical. It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's really throwing itself out there into the future.
The impact is too important for it not to beat out Iron Man. I think if this movie was a dud, and I say dud, like if this movie came out and they even though like it came out, was received well, and they
Hmm.
still continued the MCU, um, and it still went on to do maybe not everything, but like even if it was good and people enjoyed it and they continued the whole shared universe thing, I think Iron Man uh in another world, I think Iron Man could beat this movie out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
But for the sole fact of like everything that it did, um, especially like the whole team aspect, like building people up in other movies and then bringing them together for this, like you know, it did stuff that was never done before, and it did it in it created a blueprint, literally created a blueprint.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
I 100% agree.
it's got to be what it is.
All right, so that brings us to the end of our Phase 1 rankings. The
Yeah,
next video, we will tackle another six of the MCU movies, which make up Phase 2.
mm,
And as you guys can see on screen, these are our ultimate rankings. Again, if you want to see more of our reviews as time goes on, you can always check the letterbox cinema scrutiny. The link will be down in the description.
yes,
And if you guys liked this content, let us know in the comments section. I think we're going to be doing phase 2 and phase 3 regardless, just because I think we like talking about these movies a lot. But it'd be great to know that you guys like this content too. So be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you're not already, so you can get the rest of this content when it comes out. And just to have a good week. If you have a chance, honestly, go on Disney Plus right now, watch Phase 2 so that you'll be ready for when the Phase 2 video comes out, and you will be ready to disagree or agree with our content. Probably disagree. I feel like Phase 2 is a lot more controversial. There's a lot more
probably.
ups and downs in there, but we will see.
It's definitely the lows. The lows start coming.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
Yeah.
that's been Cinema Scrutiny, so have a good week, guys.
Yep. Thank you.